Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about renting storage units. There are a lot of things to renting storage units that perhaps you don't know about if you've never rented one. The positive about renting a storage unit is that it gives you extra space when you need it. The first time I rented a storage unit was when I had a flood in my basement, so I was able to put all of my totes and stuff from my children's clothing and my winter clothing, things like that. I put it all in the storage unit to clean up the basement. A lot of people use storage units for that purpose. They might have a problem with their house. Hello, Pepper. They might have a fire, a flood, some type of damage, maybe a renovation, and they use the storage unit temporarily to house things that otherwise would be in the way during one of those things. I also have space in my unit for my son to store his things because he's currently living here with his girlfriend, but they're going to eventually move out. So I have furniture stored away. Here are some things that you may not know about renting a storage unit and the bad side or the downside of renting a storage unit. For me, it's peace of mind. I know my stuff is safe. This particular place where I rent is in a secured area. It's completely surrounded by a gate. There is a keypad for entry and there's a keypad for exiting. The entire building is surveyed 24/7 by camera. So relatively, yeah, I do feel safe renting at this facility. There are other places around that I wouldn't feel safe at all or putting my stuff in. No way. They're outdoor spaces. Mine is a humidity controlled. It's got heat in the winter. It's got AC in the summer. And until recently, there were no bugs. So let's get into that first, the bugs. Because of COVID, a ton of people moved to my area and brought their stuff and put it in storage while they searched for a house or possibly downsized so they needed extra space to store their stuff. And I've noticed recently that the owner has put out little traps that catch things like ants. I haven't seen anything disgusting like cockroaches, but I have seen moths. I've seen them put out fly paper and now the ant traps. So that's one downside. Another downside is the building maintenance. The building itself is pretty old. It is relatively upkept. I mean, they do a nice job at the janitorial aspect and the cleaning. You know, they go through every single hallway, and this is a multi-story storage building. This guy that works there, he goes through every single floor, every single aisle, and he sweeps thoroughly every night. So it's clean. And there are signs when you leave the storage facility, you're supposed to sweep your unit out. And if you don't, you get fined. I think a lot of people take this very seriously and they keep their area clean. I don't know how I avoided a leak, to be honest. They are constant in this building, especially after heavy rains. You can even see the patches on the metal ceiling. You can see the stains in certain hallways where the water has come in. You'll see them put out buckets and they seem to fix it right away. If you ever rent from a storage facility, just keep that in mind, that if they have leaks in there, your stuff is going to get ruined. Along with that, there could be a fire, there could be a tornado, there could be a hurricane. The lady at my storage facility, when I first went and got a unit, she recommended that I get renter's insurance. It really depends on what you're putting in there. If it's a bunch of junk and you don't care about it, it's not worth anything. I don't see why pay for renter's insurance. But, you know, if it's grandma's dining room set, it's probably a good idea. The other thing about the storage unit where I rent is there's no bathroom. I didn't find out until I had a lot of stuff to bring over there one day. And as we were unloading everything, I went to find a bathroom and I was surprised that they don't have one. They have one, but they do not let the public use it at all. The lady told me at the desk that there were people going in there and clogging it up, and then they had to pay a plumber to come out and unclog it every time. So they stopped allowing the public to use the bathroom at storage facilities. Another downside of renting a storage facility is the cost. They have units the size of a closet. It's like $100 just to rent the size of a closet, like a small coat closet. One of the other problems I've encountered going to my unit, if I go there late at night, it never fails. There's a motel right next door to my storage facility, and there's a lot of bad things that go down there. When I go in, I have to push in my code to get in. Nobody follows me, but every time I'm there, there are some pretty unsavory characters, especially at night. If I go during the day, I don't see anybody like that. The best time I have found to go is on Sundays. Saturdays are usually packed with people moving in and out of the units. Sunday seems to be calmer as long as I get there before 4 p.m. One time I went after at night alone, and it got pretty weary. There was a guy standing outside. I felt like he was watching me. I don't even know what he was doing there. And he never came into the facility, but it gave me an uneasy feeling, especially if you're wheeling carts of stuff into your unit. You don't want people spying on you to see what you're putting in there. I try to put my stuff in a covering, whether it's a garbage bag or a tote that's not see-through or a cardboard box, some way where people can't see what I have going into my unit. It just gives me peace of mind that they're not staking me out. The other thing that you may not know about storage units, or maybe not all storage units, but some storage units, my storage unit does not have a ceiling. Instead, it's a mesh covering over the top. If somebody were to go in the unit next to mine, they would be able to look over into my unit with a ladder. It doesn't really give me peace of mind that it's a mesh ceiling, because you can easily cut it with wire cutters. And I've thought a lot about that. Like, what if somebody wants to rob me? They really could. But I don't keep valuables in my unit. It's literally furniture. They'd have a heck of a time getting furniture over a wall down a ladder. So I don't worry and stress about it, but it's just something to consider. I wouldn't put jewelry or things in a storage unit that could be stolen right out of the ceiling if you have a mesh covering instead of an actual ceiling. The other thing about the storage unit is the lack of parking. The parking spaces they have within this gated community are reserved for people who want to rent for their RVs, boats, trucks, food carts, things like that. So when you go in through the gate, after you press in your code and you drive in, there might be 3 or 4 parking spaces. If you're there on a Saturday and there's 2 U-Hauls, you're out of luck because you're not getting a space. You won't be able to get a space at all. That's another reason I try to go on Sunday. It's not as busy. I've never really encountered a U-Haul there on a Sunday. I'm sure it happens, but it just seems like not many people with moving trucks go on Sundays for some reason, especially if I go early in the morning. If I'm there between 7 and 9, nobody's around. Also, this is a big one. What you may not know about storage units is in the contracts that you sign when you sign up for a storage unit, there's going to be a clause. Please read the contract very carefully as to how much notice you need to give to move out. I've heard horror stories about people being charged another month because they didn't give proper notice. Always read the contract. Make sure that you understand it and that you know you have to give 10 days or 15 days or how much notice you have to give before moving out. And my final thought is, when you do move out, leave it clean. They actually say that at my storage unit, when you move out, you have to sweep it out and you have to clean it. Otherwise, they charge you a fee. It just takes a broom and a dustpan. Just sweep it out, leave it clean. That way, your final inspection goes flawless when you move out and you have no worries. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.